Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. Compassion is the basis of morality. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free. Mostly it is loss which teaches us about the worth of things. Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. Happiness consists in frequent repetition of pleasure. It is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. The person who writes for fools is always sure of a large audience. They tell us that suicide is the greatest piece of cowardice. That suicide is wrong, when it is quite obvious that there is nothing in this world to which every man has a more unassailable title than to his own life and person. Every miserable fool who has nothing at all of which he can be proud, adopts as a last resource pride in the nation to which he belongs. He is ready and happy to defend all its faults and follies tooth and nail, thus reimbursing himself for his own inferiority. One should use common words to say uncommon things. Compassion for animals is intimately associated with goodness of character, and it may be confidently asserted that he who is cruel to animals cannot be a good man. Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. Life is a constant process of dying. We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. A sense of humor is the only divine quality of man. A high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial. We will gradually become indifferent to what goes on in the minds of other people, when we acquire a knowledge of the superficial nature of their thoughts, the narrowness of their views, and of the number of their errors. Whoever attaches a lot of value to the opinions of others pays them too much honor. Religion is the masterpiece of the art of animal training, for it trains people as to how they shall think. Treat a work of art like a prince. Let it speak to you first. Great men are like eagles, and build their nest on some lofty solitude. So the problem is not so much to see what nobody has yet seen, as to think what nobody has yet thought concerning that which everybody sees. Life swings like a pendulum backward and forward between pain and boredom. No rose without a thorn, but many a thorn without a rose. Hope is the confusion of the desire for a thing with its probability. We can regard our life as a uselessly disturbing episode in the blissful repose of nothingness. Marrying means to have one's rights and double one's duties. I have not yet spoken my last word about women. I believe that, if a woman succeeds in withdrawing from the mass, or rather raising herself from above the mass, she grows ceaselessly, and more than a man. The safest way of not being very miserable is not to expect to be very happy. Every parting gives a foretaste of death, every reunion a hint of the resurrection. The life of every individual, viewed as a whole and in general, and when only its most significant features are emphasized, is really a tragedy, but gone through in detail, it has the character of a comedy. Buying books would be a good thing if one could also buy the time to read them, but as a rule the purchase of books is mistaken for the appropriation of their contents. Pleasure is never as pleasant as we expected it to be, and pain is always more painful. The pain in the world always outweighs the pleasure. If you don't believe it, compare the respective feelings of two animals, one of which is eating the other. The shortness of life, so often lamented, may be the best thing about it. Wealth is like sea water. The more we drink, the thirstier we become, and the same is true of fame. Almost all of our sorrows spring out of our relations with other people. There is no more mistaken path to happiness than worldliness. If we were not also interested in ourselves, life would be so uninteresting that none of us would be able to endure it. Faith is like love. It does not let itself be forced. We seldom think of what we have, but always of what we lack.